You're listening to the Collected Podcast, bringing you inspiration and resources to help you discover and live from your truest self. Follow along on social media at Collected Workshops, and be sure to visit thecollectedpodcast.com for show notes and to learn more.
Welcome back to episode 7 of the Collected Podcast. I'm Tia McNelly here with
Michaela Hooper
and Jess Biondo. This week on the podcast, we have Wendy Jordan, who was Mrs. North Carolina in 2017.
and the runner-up to Mrs. America. I just want to say I watched that competition, that pageant, and she was radiant. Obviously in her beauty, but like internally you could just see all the goodness shining forth from Wendy, and we get to hear so much of that in our interview with her.
I feel like you see that in every photo of Wendy too. You can just see the light of Christ shining through her. She has a 10-year modeling career under her belt, and she also runs a marketing agency, the Jordan Digital Agency. So what an incredible woman with so much to tell us. And let me tell you folks, you will not believe her story. And I really believe that this is just the beginning for Wendy. So please enjoy our interview with Wendy Jordan.
Well, welcome everyone, and we are so excited to be here with our friend Wendy Jordan. Welcome, Wendy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Wendy, your story is just a powerful story and kind of like an unlikely story for where you are today. Yeah. So would you tell us a little bit about your upbringing and just, where you're from, your family, things like that?
Okay.
Yeah,
I would love to share that. I think it's important to kind of share where you've been in life and to be able to showcase, how God's really showed up for you in life. So for me, we grew up on a 47-acre farm, and it was kind of in a poor, rough area, to be honest with you. We were even limited on the amount of toilet tissue we could use when we used the bathroom. We had to reuse paper towels. We kept this running toll where we had to pay 10 cents every time we walked in our sock feet or didn't cut the lights off. It was just very regimented.
Yeah.
And every Saturday morning, I remember growing up, we would always go to flea markets and Goodwill, and that's where I found my clothes. And at the time, I just thought that was normal. But as I grew up, I slowly began to interpret that concept of not having enough as not being enough, and I'm not enough. I even remember a story. I got my first little boyfriend when I was probably 9 years old, and I remember, I don't know if y'all had big cookies at school, but they were 50 cents extra.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
it was a big deal when you got a big cookie. And I remember he bought me one, and I remember he was standing there holding it, and he said, "Here, I bought you a big cookie." And I'll never forget this. I stood there and I stared at him for what seemed like forever, and I said, I can't take that. I didn't earn it. And it's like that concept followed me my entire life. You have to earn everything in life. And so I just worked so hard all throughout my teenage years and into my adulthood, just trying to be good, trying to perform better, trying to be better so I would be accepted and loved. Just along with the poverty mindset growing up, my parents, they never got along ever since I was small, and so it was kind of a hostile environment as well. And on 47 acres, no one can hear, so all kinds of things were happening. And I just remember just being depressed and thinking, Lord, what is this? What is my life? And I remember I was hot and heavy in track and field and a lot of sports because that's where I got my value from. That was my performance. And I was running up and down our driveway, and I would reach the top, and I remember turning around and I would look out over our rolling pastures and hills. And I just remember he spoke to me so clearly and said, "You are going to have impact in this world." And I just could envision the rolling hills just being people. And I didn't really know what that looked like or what that would be, but I just felt it so strongly. So I developed a relationship with the Lord really early on, just, because I had to. I mean, he was all I had. I just latched onto him and I said, God, I feel so alone. I feel so, unworthy, not valuable, just such low self-esteem. And he just carried me throughout my teenage years. And I got married when I was 21 and jumped straight into adulthood. I married somebody 15 years older than me. He had 2 children. I was 21 at the time, and they were 9 and 11. Wow. So I became a mom fast. Wow. I had to grow up really quickly. So I remember not wanting to, carry that on to my new daughter. Mm-hmm. That feeling that I always struggle with, the self-worth and the struggle. So I just dug into the Lord and his presence and the concept of beauty, that even though I don't feel beautiful right now, he made me beautiful. He made all of us beautiful, and we're all uniquely created and fearfully and wonderfully made. And I'll tell you, it's been a journey. It's been a process, renewing my mind to that.
Yeah.
I haven't arrived yet. We're all going through that.
Definitely.
I think as women, always, day by day, having to remind ourselves that, God, you created us. We are beautiful. Whatever we feel like, we are beautiful.
Yeah.
And it just is ironic that I ended up entering the beauty industry.
Yes. How did you get into the beauty industry?
Well, I was always kind of a tomboy. Through my sports, I was, big into basketball and track and field, and never really dressed up much. And let's see, a year after we got married, that was in 2008 when the economy crashed and just tanked, and we lost everything, house, cars, everything. And my husband, he was watching a documentary on modeling, and he saw, they make millions. Why don't you go do that? And so at the time I thought, well, if it'll make anything, I'll do it, just because we were in that place where, we needed the money, basically. Yeah. But God was our provision, even in that. And so that was 10 years ago this month that I started my modeling career. Wow. And just kind of ironic to me that I'm even in the beauty industry, and because that was never really kind of my nature or my bend. And then the pageants happened. I can share some of that.
Yeah. How did that start?
Yeah. So I was, in my groove, comfortable with modeling, and I was good with it because I didn't have to open my mouth. You just have to stand there and pose, basically. And I think it's natural for us to always, we kind of try to do things that we're natural at, we're good at, and it's comfortable. We're not stepping out of our comfort zone. So that's kind of where I was at right then. And I felt like a couple of years after I started modeling, I felt the Lord wanted me to participate in the Mrs. North Carolina pageant, which then leads to the Mrs. America pageant. And I said, no way, Lord, you've got the wrong girl. I mean, I was so dead set against it, you wouldn't believe. It took 7 years for me to give my best yes. I know that's
definitely
kind of y'all's thing there, but I felt him calling me, and I went back and looked in my email, and I saw my correspondence with the director year after year after year. She would email me, hey, do you want to participate this year? I said, nope, don't think I want to do it.
Yeah. What was it that was holding you back?
I was terrified that I wouldn't be eloquent enough, or I wouldn't have the right words to say, or that I would be caught off guard and look like, I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah. I'm a very slow processor, and I like to be very prepared, and I like to have everything perfect. I'm a perfectionist, certainly. And the thought of just having to kind of go out there and wing things and, be asked questions on stage that I'm not 100% prepared for just rocked my world. Mm-hmm. So year 7, I got to the point, do you ever get to the point where you feel like God's calling you to do something and it is just really, really blaringly
you're getting it from like every direction?
Yes. Yeah. So I felt that, and it was this struggle. I said, Lord, I know you want me to do this. I'm just so terrified. I don't know what to do. And so I said, okay, I'll attend one of them. And so I sat in the back of the room the year before all by myself, and I watched it, and it came to the question portion on stage, and one of the ladies just completely went silent for about 60 seconds and started crying. And I said to myself, that's it. I'm not going to do it. There's no way I'm putting myself in that position to be so embarrassed. And so that kind of, made up my mind. I walked away, and weeks later, that same still small voice just speaking to me, tugging on me. And I just thought, Lord, everything you've done for me, if you really want me to do this, I will do it.
Yeah.
I will not have to be perfect. And I will trust you to speak through me and to shine through me. And I will give you all the glory no matter what happens. Yeah. And so I signed up that next year and just really started focusing on that it's not about me.
Yeah.
I was actually at my friend's house, and she was encouraging me, our friend Angie, and she was just building me up and telling me that, all the things that good friends say, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. And she was just pouring into me, and I said, okay, I can do it. And I got in the car, and I flipped on the radio, and I promise you the first words out of that guy's mouth said, if you are struggling with something that you're supposed to do in public and you are fearful, your problem is that you've got your eyes on yourself, and it is not about you.
Wow.
And I pulled the car over, literally, I remember, and I took out my pen, was jotting down all the scriptures and stuff. And that was kind of my aha moment. I was like, that's been my problem. Me. What am I going to look like? What if I'm embarrassed? But we have to stop and think, well, Lord, you kind of have to put your money where your mouth is. Right. We're in church all the time with our hands raised, and it's easy to say, Lord, whatever you want me to do, I'll do. But then when you leave the doors and you're faced with real world stuff and real life stuff, you kind of have to surrender and give your best yes to even give him a shot to even show up in your life. Yeah. So let's see. So I did that. I made the commitment to do the pageant, and it was probably a week before the pageant, and I started wavering a little bit. I was all amped up, ready to go, and then all of a sudden it crept in and hit me. It's in a week, and here we go. And so I just was honest with Lord. I said, Lord, I'm struggling. And I just felt like I needed to do something to I don't know how to say it, symbolize my faith. So I drove to the actual auditorium that the pageant was going to be at, and I snuck in, and it was dark. Nobody was there. This is literally the stage I'm about to be on in a week and afraid to be on. And I walked out, and I just stood there, and I just looked out over the seats and just took some deep breaths, and I just made myself feel the Lord's presence. And I instantly had that reminder of being a child looking over those pastures.
Yes. Rolling hills.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
And it was like the Lord was bringing it together for me.
That just gave me chills.
And I felt such a peace. And so, I went home, and then the pageant happened, and that day, it's basically what you would imagine Miss Congeniality. It's basically, that is reality. Just a lot of clamoring around and staring in mirrors and things like that. And it's just one of those moments where you think, am I really here? What am I doing? Mm-hmm. What am I doing? This isn't normally something that I would do. But we had a few hours before showtime, and I just remember slipping to the bathroom, and I got in a stall and just stood there for 30 minutes and just said, Lord, come down and be with me. Mm-hmm. I just want everyone to see your glory. Yeah. Shine through me, because this is not my own strength. This is absolutely your strength. And when I hit that stage, boy, I cannot describe to you the peace that I felt, and all the fear melted away. And it was the most amazing experience of my life. as far as like just really, really feeling like, you know, God was with me and helping me.
Definitely.
And when you do give your yes to him, that he will be there for you.
Yeah.
I love that you actually put yourself in the place that you would be in before you were actually there.
Yeah.
And I think that that's so, like, when we do that in life, when we see ourselves in a place before we're actually there, or we position ourselves in a place before we're actually there, we find peace.
Yes.
And we can actually overcome the fears that you've been talking about. Like, you can do that by just seeing yourself in the place that you're going to be in, or you desire to be in, or you feel called to be in, and then believing that God will actually position you there is, I mean, that's, I think when we do that, that thing actually comes to life. Like, it actually happens. And that's, to me, that's such a profound part of your story, that you have continued to position yourself in the things that you've been afraid of,
right,
or you've been hesitant to step into, and God continues to be present to you and position you for the thing that he's called you to do. And that's amazing.
Yeah. I think it's so important just to, like you guys say, just to give him your yes. I mean, it's easy to shrink back in fear and think if I had of, I wouldn't have had any of these experiences. Nothing, you know? We have to be courageous. We want to feel insecure and inadequate and unqualified. But the second we stop believing that and believing that we are strong, we are courageous, we can be confident in who we are in Christ, that's what sees us through. I think it's when we try to rely on our own strength and our own abilities, that's when we just completely fail. Yeah. But it's when we trust. And taking that action for me was important. Just kind of a way to show him that, you know, I'm here, I'll show up, and I'm believing that you'll show up.
Yes.
Yeah. And same situation, you know, after that, you know, you think, oh, okay, great. Now, you know, you won. It's great. Now what? Well, then I had Mrs. America to face. So it happened all over again. That presented its own set of interesting challenges. But
each step of the way, I feel like God keeps giving you a bigger voice and a bigger voice, and like requiring more of you, but equipping you with what you need for each new step. Yeah. As you find that voice. Yeah. Because you have such a powerful story, and you shared something earlier with us when you arrived about your kind of stance on fear and, you know, fear limiting you. What was it exactly that you said?
The fears that we do not face become our limits in life. That's kind of the motto that I stand by, because it's just easy to be afraid. There's a lot of things in life to be afraid of. Yeah. But we just got to face them strongly, and, you know, and just realize, what's the worst that can happen? You know, this isn't about me. This is about the Lord. If he's speaking through me and he's telling me to do something, then we just have to get over ourselves, basically. Yeah. Basically.
And that's not an assurance that we will win every time. Yeah. But even if we don't, taking the step and overcoming the fear, sometimes that's the whole point.
Sometimes that's the
sometimes
victory.
That is the victory.
Yes.
It's really, really good.
Tia McNelly here. You may know that I spent years as a labor and delivery nurse coaching parents through the birth process. I nurtured them through the scary and joyful moments of walking, waiting, and working harder than they'd ever imagined, and then finally watching as the precious thing they'd conceived came to life in the outside world. Though I'm no longer working as a nurse in the hospital, it's my great joy to continue coaching people, but instead of babies, I'm helping people just like you birth their dreams. Do you feel like there's something growing inside of you and you can't quite picture it, but you already love it? Like you might just burst at any moment? Are you both exhilarated and terrified to think of what it would be like to have this thing out of you and in the world? If you know that God is calling you to start working on your dream and you have no idea where to begin, I can help. Let's do something great. Visit tiamcnelly.com/coaching to learn more, or email hello@tiamcnelly.com to get started today.
So what have you learned being in the beauty industry now, specifically about beauty?
Yeah.
As a Christian woman?
Yeah. Well, when I told the Lord that I'd be willing to do this, I said, I'm only doing this if I'm staying true to myself, and I'm not going to become what they want me to become in order to, quote unquote, try to win. Mm-hmm. And so I was really, really firm and rock solid on that. And I'm thankful that I was. And so I had a lot of opportunities that presented itself to try to sway me from that. The world has its own standards of beauty, and I think it's just so important to just be who you are. Mm-hmm. And I honestly think that is what, got me so far at Mrs. America, because I just said, I'm okay if I don't win. This is not about the crown. I already have the crown, the crown from God.
Amen.
Yes.
Yes.
And you just become firm in that. And then all of a sudden it's not about that. And then you can stand for what you're there to stand for, and, speak what you believe, and win or lose. You did what you were supposed to do. You did what God called you to do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was an interesting week. I showed up. It was 9 days of rehearsals, and every day I would show up and just work out clothes and like, hey guys, I'm here to rehearse, and everybody else is just like, whew, straight off the catwalk. I mean, glam. Yeah. And it's like it was almost like they felt sorry for me. They were like, oh, like, she doesn't know what she's doing. She's never been in a pageant. But it was just funny. I just got that sense, and I just kept kind of giggling to myself. But I just never wanted to sway from that. I went out of my way to stay, natural and normal and, just, relatable to the everyday woman. Mm-hmm. And one story I'll share, when I won Mrs. North Carolina, it came with a big prize package, and one of the prizes was, how should I phrase this? Not restructuring of my face, but a lot of face work.
Yeah. And
I'm totally fine with that. Trust me, totally fine with it if it's something that's bothering you. But nothing was bothering me. Mm-hmm. And when the doctor looked at me and he said, well, I can't make you do it, Wendy. He said, but I will just tell you, you will be at a severe disadvantage at Mrs. America if you do not take this. And something rose up within me, and I said, I am not taking it then, if you're going to say that's the reason I'm winning.
Right.
Because I wanted it to be about the heart. I wanted it to be about the insides and what I was, standing for, not just about the exterior and what the world sees as beautiful. Mm-hmm. And the day after that was my first parade, and I'll never forget, I was up on the back of the convertible, and it kind of the car started and the parade began, and we started moving, and I began waving, and I just began to lock eyes with all the women in the crowd. And the streets were packed, and I remember locking eyes with like a 3-year-old little girl, and then I'd lock eyes with like a 90-year-old lady, and just I could see like the admiration in their eyes. Like, oh, there's a pageant queen. And I thought to myself, I'm doing this for them. Mm-hmm. Who am I to say these are the standards to look beautiful? Mm-hmm. It just was something that rose up within me. And it was just like confirmation of the decision I made the day prior, that I'm doing this for all women, and, taking a stand for natural beauty and just the way God made us. Uniquely and wonderfully made.
That's awesome. Well, I just want to say I watched Mrs. America, and
Did you?
Yeah, and I remember watching you walk across, and you were truly radiant.
Oh,
and just to watch that, but then to also interact with you face to face and see how you carry yourself, and you are truly enough, and God clearly is continuing to work that process out in you, but also he's done so much to show you that you are enough. And I think that that's such an awesome part of your story, and how you're walking that out, and he's using you to speak that truth into the lives of women and men all over, that we are enough in him.
Yes.
And when we know who we are in him, we know whose we are, then everything else can flow out of that. And you are a walking testimony of that. And how cool that the Lord's put you in the place that he has to speak into that. It's just amazing. So
I would just encourage everyone, if you have something inside of you that you feel that the Lord's telling you to do, just do it. Just do it. The more you run from it, the harder it is, and the more you realize, I should have just done it all along. You'll spend your life just running and trying to avoid everything you're afraid of. But the second you turn around and you say, I'm going to face this, and I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me, and you begin to experience that, and you experience it, and that success builds on that next success, and then that next success, and you can look back, just like David with the lion and the bear. He kind of used that success that he had to be able to face Goliath. So I think that's important, just to develop that habit, even in small things.
Because you didn't wake up one day and become
a
beauty queen. It was all your faithfulness in the small yeses every day.
And I think remaining calm through everything. It's easy to get just really flustered if things don't go right. Chances are things are not going to go right, from my experience. When you open yourself up to the Lord, it's not, rainbows and butterflies. It can be a battle, but it's a good battle, because it teaches you. I persevered and I made it through, and just to remain calm, like at Mrs. America, everything was going wrong backstage, and it was up to me to stay calm and let the Lord just take care of it for me. So I mean, they couldn't get the banner on me. I was like MIA for like 30 seconds. I don't know if you saw that, Michaela, but I was missing. But they were yelling at me backstage because I went to the wrong door. It was just complete chaos. And then within 60 seconds, I had to answer that question on stage, or two questions on stage. The one thing that I'd been fearing for 7 years. But it really taught me just to understand that it's not, going to be smooth sailing, but just learning to just kind of to go with that and to trust, and that again, he will show up for you, and he will give you the words that you're supposed to say and reach the people that you're supposed to reach.
What advice or resources would you have for someone who's struggling through that, not feeling enough, or struggling with their just concept of beauty?
Right now, the book that I'm really, really loving is called Becoming Spiritually Beautiful. It's by Sharon Jaynes, Jaynes, and it is just maybe my favorite book ever. Just really good perspective on who we are in Christ, and just being able to renew your mind to the fact that we are his marvelous masterpieces, and just stepping into that day by day. Because like I said, you're never going to have arrived. It's a daily process, but it's a beautiful one. And she's also got a book called Enough, I think, that was recently released that I'm excited to read.
That's amazing. We'll put links to that in the podcast notes.
Okay, cool.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. It is, like you said, an unlikely beginning that God just revolutionized. And you have a powerful story and a powerful voice.
Thank you.
So thank you for sharing it with us.
It was a pleasure to be here.
Thanks so much.
Face your fears, everyone.
You guys, when she was standing on that stage and looked down at the chairs and was reminded of those rolling hills, I was seriously, I was sitting in a chair. I wasn't interviewing, but I was in the room for that interview, and I was freaking out. I wanted to just jump up and down. What an incredible story.
I know. I got chills all over.
Incredible.
Goosies.
Goosies all day.
And the whole time she was speaking, I kept thinking two things. The first one, that it's so easy for us to just, see pictures of her or look at how she is today and compare our story to her success now without seeing the struggle she walked through and knowing all the depth that is there. And to just feel encouraged if you're struggling through something, just to not compare your struggle to someone else's highlight reel, because you don't we have to remember everyone has a story and a history and a struggle that they've went through to get them to where they are today.
So true.
And often it's through the struggle or the potential destruction you're facing that is the catalyst to get you to the next step or to your destiny.
Absolutely. I had a side conversation with Wendy before we started, and she was sharing with me that she's in a time of transition right now, and she's not quite sure what the next thing is. And so I just want to encourage you guys. Sometimes that's where we have to sit. Sometimes we have to just be present to the fact that we don't know what's next. And those times of waiting are such sweet times, and the Lord always has something incredible to teach us during those moments. So if you're listening, pray for Wendy. Pray for her in this time of rest and refreshing in the in-between.
Yeah. I love towards the end, she said, just do it. If there's something that you feel like the Lord is impressing upon you, just do it. And that's all throughout her story. Just taking one step at a time. And sometimes the doing is actually in the waiting. The waiting is actually the doing.
That's so good.
And that sounds like that conversation that you had with her, like the waiting is the doing right now. And I think in our world today, that's really hard. It's hard to wait. It's hard to be still. And but I was just reading, I think it was in Exodus today, that it just says, the Lord will fight for you. You only need to be still. And that's like that. Yeah, I think that's just such a profound truth for us to take away from her story, that the Lord is constantly going ahead of us and paving the way, and we just need to be still. We need to wait.
Everything she said about that, Michaela, about the just do it, whatever it is that God's like poking at you about incessantly, just do it. That kind of place that people find themselves in is exactly why I started my coaching business, because I love that place. So just to, self-promote for a second, because I'm not afraid to, because I know it's what God asked me to do.
And it's our podcast. We can promote
what we want.
All we want.
If you need help taking steps towards the thing that God asked you to do, please email me, hello@tiamcnelly.com. I want to help you. Or you can look up tiamcnelly.com/coaching for information on my services. So.
And email us and let us know how we can pray for you.
Please do. Yes.
And the final thought I want to leave us with, because Thanksgiving is over, we are headed into the Christmas season, which I'm so excited about. But so much of Wendy's message is that you are enough and you have enough. You have everything you need from the Lord. And so just to remember that, to not go into this next month with that poverty mindset.
Amen.
But to just enjoy the fullness and joy of the season.
Good stuff, Jess. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thank you for listening to the Collected Podcast. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review. And if you like what you've heard, we'd love it if you would spread the word. You can follow Collected on social media at Collected Workshops. You can also find Tia at Tia McNelly Notes and Jess at Spreza Foundry. Check back for weekly episodes dropping every Thursday.